This time we're going to go over the map drawing tool. This tool gives you the ability to do rectangles, squares, circles, ovals, John Madden, and then obscure formations, so you would be able to outline something that has a lot of angles. But what I want you to do, as you notice in my top toolbar, it's not there. So I want you to hit your overflow. And then it should be in alphabetical order, so in the D's, and you're going to find the square, and it looks like there's like a circle with these 3 lines, almost like a rain shower. And just click on that. And that's going to open up a sub menu. And you notice at the top, the very first one is a circle. And so what I want to do is I'm just going to set up and on this particular one, we're going to set up a 3D cylinder or cone, and we're going to turn it into a geofence. So I'm going to click on it, and you notice it says tap desired center point. So I'm just going to hit there, and I'm going to scoot out, and then I'm going to hit the radius. And so now that has basically produced a circle. And then in the center of that, I can pull up a rotary wheel. Now, there's some icons on this one that we haven't gone over yet. I'm going to go over them as we talk about it. But what I want to do is I want you to go ahead and focus at the 3 o'clock on the pencil. And we are going to edit this circle. And so at first, at the top where it says draw in circle 2, obviously if you need to, you can modify that and change it or label it and just say, just test for simple things. And then just like on everything else, you get your MGRS heading of that center point. And then let's look at the radius. So the radius is 1,005 meters. I want to change that. Let's change it to 2,000 meters. Okay, pretty big radius. Don't worry about your area and circumference. That's pretty self-explanatory. But as we move into the other ones, that's applicable. Rings. So you see right now we're on 1 ring. If I added, say, 3 rings, you notice those rings, each consecutive one it goes 4 kilometers and then 6 kilometers. And the reason for that is because your first radius is 2,000 meters, okay? So if that was 500 meters, then your rings would be 500 meters, 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters. So whatever your first ring is going to dictate on the increments of your additional rings. For this purposes, let's bring it down to just 1 ring. And then next to that, there's a height. So what I want y'all to do, and you have to do this to get a visual representation of a geofence and a cylinder, okay? So I'm just going to say 5,000 feet, okay? Hit OK. We come down. I'm going to leave it magenta, but if you wanted to change it, let's go to yellow. Now we change it to yellow. You can change the intensity of that so you can't see anything underneath it, to it's a little bit highlighted and you can see stuff. Line thickness, you can go ahead and make it real small. And then right above it, you see label and center. So if you take the label off, you notice along the circle, that label went away, so you don't know the measurement. So we're just going to put it back. Sometimes people don't want the center. If you undo that, only thing that does is take the center off. And then as you come down here, this is a new feature. So, and then you got the line style. Right now it's solid. This is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to show you one, then you can figure the other ones out. But now it's dashed looking like so. and then I have it set up as a cylinder. Now this is coming, but it's not completely there. But you have stuff, hopefully in the future, we'll be able to put a dome. So if you can think about it, you could put a high point at 5,000 feet and say it domes down to where it hits the ground. And you could use that for a lot of different applications. All right, we're going to end editing. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, because we want to set this up as a geofence, I'm going to bring this back up. And then any of you football fans out there, go Dogs, right up at the 1 o'clock, you've got the fence. And no, that's not for defense, that's for geofence. So you click on that, and then we're going to walk down through here. So the trigger is for entry only right now, but let's set that up for both. Okay, and I've got monitor all, but I want you to click on that because I want to talk about this real quick. If you notice, if you don't have all, you're basically going to just monitor the ones that you select. But don't think if you picked hostile and say you set up a circle around you and a hostile force breaks that circle, that's not going to alert you. The only way it's going to alert you is if you have it labeled in ATAK and it's on ATAK and it's a hostile force, then it would alert you. So it's got to be seen on ATAK. We're going to enable the tracking, and then the elevation should never be that. You should always it's taking into account the ground level, which we're at 428 feet above, and then it's applying it to the MSL, the mean sea level. So it's doing the conversion for you. If you didn't do that first when we edited in height, you would have to do all that calculation. So this is actually doing it for you, and that's the reason why I get y'all to do that. Not only that, when we hit OK, and at your like 11 o'clock, you see this. I call it the all-seeing eye of Anubis. So when you click on that, now you have the ability to go 3D. And you notice you got to use 2 fingers. And as you turn your map 3D, you now have a visible representation of your geofence. And so this is great for like if you have ground vehicles, and then you also say you're flying UAVs or you got helicopters or fixed wing aircraft or anything like that in the air. If they break this, it's going to give you an alert. And so that is the easy way to set up your 3D. Now, to get out of 3D, at the top, you just hit your all-seeing eye Anubis. It goes away. You're back down in 2D. Remember, when you're doing 2D and 3D, never plan in 3D. You will screw yourself up. Okay, so make sure you plan in 2D, check and verify in 3D. And then the other things with this circle is obviously the trash can is trash. And then as you remember that I taught y'all, if you see a line with 2 arrows, that means you're going to be able to do a range and bearing. And so that range and bearing is going to be from the center. And then I'm going to show you, if you hit on the outside of the line and you do a range and bearing, that will actually do a range and bearing from the outside of the line to wherever. So that's how you set up a geofence with the map drawing tool. The next thing we're going to do after I delete this and get this cleaned out is I'm not going to go over an oval because the only thing an oval is a squish circle. But what I want to do is go over the rectangle. Okay? And that's the third one over. And the reason for this is you can do a lot of measuring with this and figuring stuff out. So say if we wanted to measure this parking lot, I could literally do that. And now we're measuring the parking lot. The one thing I want to show you that's unique about the rectangle compared to the other map drawing tools is when you put the labels on, it actually, as you notice, it gives you the distances of each leg. So that's 69 meters length by 19 meters on their width. And this is the only one that the labeling will give you the actual measurement on the legs. Now, there's many things you can do with this. You could use this to figure out like a helicopter landing zone. You could figure this like, heck, if you're in your backyard and you need to figure out your length and width of a deck that you're going to do in the square footage, you could use it for that. That's just an application. You could also put this along a fire line for like wildland firefighters, and they can figure out like your acreage, the burnt stuff, acreage, or the fire line you need to cut or anything like that. Back again with the wildland firefighters, you could literally lay this down on top of the fire or where it was burning. So you could show a representation of where you want the fire retardant to land on that fire. So there's many uses that you can use this with. Also, you notice when we go into edit, if you put the height in here, it's going to do the exact same thing we did with a circle. So you could make this, you know, a geofence as well. Some things that we've used this for, if you're jumping, you know, and you want to stay away from a danger area, you could literally put a handrail up, and it would alert you to keep you away from that area. All right, I'm going to delete that. And then the next one is basically it's the free flow. And I'm just going to start. And so it gives you the ability to basically outline just any type of structure or anything that you need to do. If you click in here, you can do the exact same thing that we did on the circle and the rectangle. You can make it a geofence. You can raise the height up. You can do a range and bearing from the center point or anywhere along the lines. And that's that one. Now, the John Madden, so to speak, tool is it gives you the ability to write. And so what you could do is basically have a picture. You could write what's on that picture. You could circle it and then send that off to somebody. So with the John Madden, if you come in here, and you bring up the information page, you can change line colors. And then that's just whichever line you tap, it's going to change. You could delete lines, add lines. You can change your line style, your line thickness. And you can also, some people take it on themselves to use art and draw art with the John Madden tool. But real simply put, that's the map drawing tool, and that's all she wrote.